The rain hadn't stopped in 3 days. It drummed constantly on the rooftops of Greystone City, turning gutters into streams and alleyways into swamps. In the heart of this gray metropolis, a man named Marcus Drennan stood behind the cracked window of his office, watching the water blur the city's outlines. He wasn't a cop, not anymore. But trouble didn't care much for formalities. At 6:42 p.m., a woman walked in. Wet hair clinging to her cheeks, lips trembling from more than just the cold. "Are you Marcus Drennan?" she asked. "That's what it says on the door." She sat down, her coat dripping onto the worn carpet. "My brother, Jason Carter. He's missing." Drennan watched her for a moment. Her eyes were tired, but not just from worry. There was a weight there, of secrets unspoken. "Tell me everything." Jason had been a freelance journalist. 6 weeks ago, he'd been digging into a story about real estate corruption in the Dockside district. Land was being bought up cheap, tenants evicted, fires started mysteriously. Then, Jason disappeared. Cops said he probably ran off, but he left everything behind. His laptop, his car, even his cat. Drennan nodded. He didn't need convincing. Something stank. He agreed to take the case, not for the money, because he didn't ask for any, but because it felt personal. It felt wrong. He started at Jason's apartment. It was untouched since the disappearance. Dust on the table, dishes in the sink, and notes. Plenty of notes. Jason had been close to something. A name popped up again and again. Harold Greaves, CEO of Greaves Development, a powerful construction mogul with a clean public face and dirty hands. Drennan visited the dockside. Buildings half demolished stood like corpses, and those who remained didn't talk much. He finally got one name out of a drunk sitting by a barrel fire. They call him the Architect. He works for Greaves, designs destruction. The Architect. Drennan knew the type. Smart, invisible, and cruel. Following a hunch, Drennan went to the city's permit office. It took some smooth talking and a favor or two, but he got the records. Dozens of properties had been sold to shell companies, each connected to Greaves. But one thing stood out. An abandoned warehouse on Wexler Street. It was purchased weeks before Jason vanished. He went there after midnight. The building was silent except for the dripping sound of leaking rainwater. Inside, he found chains bolted to the walls and soundproof panels, like a makeshift prison. He also found Jason's wallet. That same night, Drennan was followed. A black SUV trailed him through 4 blocks before he lost it by ducking into an old churchyard. It was clear someone didn't want the truth coming out. He reached out to an old contact, Detective Janice Vale, still on the force, one of the few he trusted. She confirmed Jason's laptop had been tampered with. Forensic data suggested files were deleted remotely. They traced the IP to an address registered under a cleaning service owned by Greaves' sister. Drennan started pushing harder. He confronted Greaves publicly at a gala fundraiser, dropping hints about a missing reporter and dirty deeds in Dockside. Greaves laughed it off. But that night, someone broke into Drennan's office. They didn't steal anything. They left a warning. A pigeon nailed to the door with a nail gun. The message was clear. Stop digging. Drennan didn't. 2 days later, a whistleblower came forward. A man named Louis Trent, former foreman on Greaves' demolition projects. He had documents, emails, bank transfers, internal memos, everything. They arranged to meet at an old diner outside the city. Drennan waited. Louis never showed. The next morning, his body washed up on the riverbank. Cause of death? Suicide. But the autopsy revealed bruises on the wrists. Drennan knew better. He went underground, hiding in motels and sending evidence piece by piece to Vale. The more he found, the more dangerous it became. Then, one night, he found Jason. Alive. Chained in a shipping container in the same warehouse he'd visited. Barely alive, dehydrated, weak, but alive. The Architect had kept him prisoner, trying to extract what he knew, paranoid that Jason had already passed the information on. Drennan got him out, barely dodging 2 armed men who arrived just minutes later. The police, under pressure from Vale and the media, finally raided Greaves's properties. The evidence, thanks to Jason and Drennan, was overwhelming. The architect vanished. Greaves was arrested. Charges: conspiracy, kidnapping, arson, fraud, and attempted murder. Jason recovered, though the trauma ran deep. He moved away, started over. As for Drennan, he returned to his window, watching the rain fall on a cleaner city. For now. But he knew better than to think it was over. Because in Greystone City, justice wasn't a guarantee. It was a fight, and he was still willing to throw punches,